Hey, this is Mark Henry, author of Dancing with Energy, Healing, Magic, and Mysticism, here to talk to you more about the occult and the paranormal. Well, today I'm going to be talking about the mental traps associated with doing occult work, such as spirit communication and magic. Before I begin, I just wanted to mention a couple things. One is, as always, I'm adding new attunements to my attunement Etsy store. I just added Kamael, the Archangel, so if you are interested in increasing your wittiness, rapid thinking, ability to be calm during certain situations, ability to calm others, he is your Archangel. I'm also added about a week ago the Genius Spirit Psychic Powers Attunement. So if you are interested in increasing your psychic receptivity, then check that out too. I'll put a link in the description to the Etsy store and the attunements. So if you want to level up your magic and improve your life, I definitely encourage you to do that. As someone who works with them on a regular basis and I'm getting a lot of good feedback from them, it's definitely something to think about. All right, so let's get started. So, like I said, the title of this particular video is the mental traps associated with occultism, to be aware of, things to be aware of. For number one is perfectionism. Now I see that result in or express itself in a couple different ways. Number one that I think of is people who are attached to a particular ritual, a magic ritual. So they will continually do that particular ritual, and maybe it doesn't work out for them. So they said, oh, maybe it's I'm not doing something right. Maybe maybe I forgot something. And there's certainly nothing wrong with looking to improve what you're doing. At the same time, people can get very fixated on the very mundane things. From my experience, rituals especially ones that are formulaic, work for some people some of the time. However, there are people who, with their perfectionism, it almost becomes an obsessive type of thing. And when you do that, you lack a lot of openness. And that is one way to do that, or one way that kind of expresses itself. Now, perfectionism as a particular quality, I consider it to be hyper-conscientiousness, and there's nothing wrong with conscientiousness, taking care of your responsibilities, thinking about things, thinking them through, and acting on things in kind of a step-by-step way. It's a very logical way of doing things, and at the same time, one can be so wrapped up into it, they don't see outside of that procedure. And that is something to kind of be aware of, because when you're thinking about, okay, what is occultism, what is magic? A lot of the time, it is about, we want to connect with the spirit of it. So what is it about? It's about wonder, it's about mystery, it's about endless possibility. And when we get so fixated due to perfectionism, we lose the spirit of that. And if you lose the spirit of that, then you really are lost, because you no longer are in alignment with the spirit of that particular activity. And I don't mean spirit in a ghost sense or anything like that. I mean kind of the tone of it. So perfectionism is definitely something to be aware of. And it is something to be aware of not only in this type of work, but in general, because one can become so perfectionistic that it makes people neurotic, it makes them distressed, it makes them feel like, and it usually comes from, I don't want to say usually, sometimes it comes from a place of someone feeling inadequacy, that they're not good enough. So this perfectionistic attitude towards certain things can be an underlying self-doubt, and when we're doing a lot of this type of work, we want to kind of move away from that and to kind of empower ourselves. Sometimes we have to, in a way, we have to pretend or act as if this thing is going to occur in order to power it. We can't just, be completely shut down and, think to ourselves, well, this is never going to work, blah, blah, blah. You'd be pretty much wasting your time, especially if you're dealing with spirits. Spirits might be like, well, this guy's serious, and he's, well, maybe somehow, maybe this could work. No, you need to be confident. So there are a lot of tentacles to this, in which there could be problems from it. As a personal example, actually two, when I was writing my book, Dancing with Energy, I was already a decent writer, but mostly what I would write is personal stuff, and then of course writing through college term papers and things like that. But writing a book is a completely different animal. So what I would do is I would start writing, and I knew that I was doing something. I knew there was not really wrong, but I knew there was a way to optimize it. So I got somebody who is a really good writer just to sit in the room with me and look over my shoulder and watch me and watch my process. And then once I wrote a paragraph, she stopped me and she said, okay, let's stop here. We need to have a talk. So why are you editing what you just wrote in this paragraph? You're completely killing the flow and the creativity. What you're going to want to do is to go with it, go with your inspiration, start writing, even do a stream of consciousness if you need to. And then at the end, then you can evaluate it. Once you're in a different mindset, you're in the critical mindset, but if you are in that mindset when you're trying to write, it's going to make the whole process laborious. It's going to make it unpleasant, and it'll take you 15, 20 years to write a book. So that's not the best way to do it. And sure enough, I had to overcome that. And it's one of the reasons why it took so long for this book to come out. Second thing that happened, this was recently because I've been learning the guitar, the acoustic guitar. And what I would do is start to play something, and even though my hands were on the right strings, if they're not perfectly placed, then you can get a buzzing sound because maybe that finger's touching another string, or maybe it's just not quite there. So what I would do is I would stop and try to dissect which finger it is, and then move the other fingers and try to correct it. And my teacher said, okay, no, just like the first example. He said, you keep playing because you need to know where this is going. The fingers are going to correct themselves through playing and through practice. If you stop every time, then you're going to lose the bigger picture. He says the drummer doesn't stop when the guitar player messes up. So that rings true. It's true. So anyway, that's my I guess my thoughts about perfectionism. Now the second one, and I call this mentalism, and it's not mentalism in the sense of magic, stage magic or anything. I'm just terming it as mentalism because I can't come up with a better word. But it is being too stuck in your head. I think of this in the sense of, okay, you sit down, you're intending to connect with the spirits around you, maybe one specific spirit or some type of deity. Instead of sitting there in meditation and doing the calling, whatever it is your process is, you are thinking about, what am I going to have for dinner? Does my girlfriend, does my boyfriend, are they mad at me? Where am I going this weekend? All those types of things. Things that are completely unrelated. Now, this is not to blame anyone by mentioning this, because it happens to everybody, and it happens to, it happens, quite frequently. But it's not, it's something that one has to train and move back to the center and start to connect. And that's the first step, is to be aware of it. But it is kind of a stumbling block, because we can become attached to this mental stuff, and if we don't interrupt it, if we don't refocus, it'll become easier and easier for our mind to go on to minutia when we're trying to gather signals, collect information, and connect with those spirits. So that is basically it. It is perfectionism and mentalism. So keep those in mind whenever you are on your journey through the world of the occult, and you're practicing magic, spirit communication. We are all human. We're all people with flaws. These are just things to be mindful of and to kind of work away from whenever we are on our journey. Well, I hope that you are enjoying your Sunday. Please subscribe and like. I'll put a link in the description for the Etsy stuff and the Patreon. Take care. Bye-bye.